birthday, happy birthday.
सूट बूट में आया कन्हैया बैंड बजाने को, नए गीत पे नाच नचाने नए जमाने को। सूट बूट में आया कन्हैया बैंड बजाने को, नए गीत पे नाच नचाने नए जमाने को। आया 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 बैंड बजाने को, नए गीत पे नाच नचाने नए जमाने को। सूट बूट में आया कन्हैया।
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Good evening to you all. How's your day been? Oh, it's about to get better. I've waited for you all my life. Hanji, so let us begin. Good evening. I am Ranveer Singh. In case you're wondering about this, I am actually preparing for my role in Shahenshah 2. And Slingam. And Sling is king. Okay, I'll stop. Okay, not really. I actually fell off a horse and broke my shoulder. Don't worry, the horse is fine. I was advised to rest and take it easy, but I'm here today क्योंकि एक बार मैंने commitment कर दी तो फिर मैं अपने आप की भी नहीं सुनता. As is evident, I am a product of Bollywood. I've grown up on Bollywood. Ever since I was a little kid, the only thing that fascinated me, allured me, aroused me, captivated me, consumed me was Bollywood films. Presentation, I did the first PowerPoint presentation of my life today, and I don't know why. For some reason, it's not projecting. It's here. Okay, so that's me as a little kid. Here we are. You see? So I was always, as you can see, a filmy bacha. You know, just growing up on Bollywood films. Every now and then, you know, you meet these bourgeois and these elitist types who is like, oh my God, he's so filmy. Yeah, I don't take it as an insult. Not at all. I wear it on my sleeve. I wear it like a badge of honor. I am what I am. I am filmy and I'm damn proud of it. Taliyan. Why not? Bollywood meri ragon mein hai, meri rom mein hai. And ever since I was a kid, all I ever wanted to do was become a Bollywood hero. Cut to 29 years later, here I am literally living the dream. I somehow managed to get myself in here when my chances, frankly, were 1,000,000 to 1. I kid you not. And I'm here today क्योंकि कहते हैं ना, अगर किसी चीज को पूरी दिल से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात तुमसे मिलाने की कोशिश में लग जाती है. Okay, I'm here today to tell you what it means to grow up under the influence of the intoxicant that is Bollywood. See, I was born in 1985, so it was the 80s, 90s and 2000s Bollywood that I really grew up on. But before the 80s, Bollywood had already gone through a lot of distinct phases. The 40s and 50s, there was once upon a time what is regarded as the golden age of Hindi cinema. Raj Kapoor's films, Guru Dutt's films, Bimal Roy's films that adorned the 40s and 50s. They had great content, great, incredible technical finesse as well, vintage Hindi cinema. Cinema in the 60s became all about celebration. All the films went to the hill stations. Shimla and Kullu Manali, and they went to these gorgeous hill stations, and they sang songs. They went on picnics, and it was romance, romance, romance. There was no action, just a few socially relevant films. There was a villain who didn't cause too much of a tremor. Like, there was an easy resolution of every story's conflict, and films took a summer vacation. It was the holiday phase of Hindi films. And in the 60s, a phenomenon occurred. And that phenomenon, ladies and gentlemen, was...
चाहे कोई मुझे जंगली कहे, कहने दो जी कहता रहे, हम प्यार के तूफानों में घिरे हैं, हम क्या करें। चाहे कोई मुझे जंगली कहे, कहने दो जी कहता रहे, हम प्यार के तूफानों में घिरे हैं, हम क्या करें। चाहे
So, ladies and gentlemen, that phenomenon was Shammi Kapoor. The ladies' man, the charmer. He was my mom's favorite. And we had this VHS tape of Jungli, which me and my sister used to watch time after time. VHS tapes. Do you remember VHS tapes? I kid you not. Last year, I was wearing a t-shirt from Top Man, and it had this graphic of these VHS tapes on it. And my cousin, sister, who was born in 98, she was like, "Bhaiya, what's that on your t-shirt?" And suddenly I felt really old. So, watching Shammi Kapoor on VHS with my sister is one of my earliest memories of watching Hindi films. And then, in the 1970s, an emergency occurred. There was economic angst in the country, anti-establishment sentiment. So during this time, Salim Javed created The Angry Young Man. In the emotional violence, the angst in their writing was personified by an actor who would go on to become the single greatest influence on Indian pop culture, on me, an icon, living legend in the truest sense, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. The boss. My earliest and fondest and most significant memories of engaging with Hindi films are all directly connected to Amitabh Bachchan. One of my earliest memories of watching Hindi films is being fed stale bread by my dadi, and she used to play VHS tapes of all his movies, especially Sholay, and she used to tell me, "You have to grow up and be a hero like him." And she was the first one who spotted the performer in me, and she used to always encourage me. So I remember this one time, we were in Juhu at this birthday party, and we were sitting in a garden, just her and me, and getting bored. And she was like, "Chalo beta, abhi dance karo." So I said, "Okay, hey, hello, Mr. Arur." So we're in this garden, and my dadi tells me to get up and just perform something. So there was a song playing, and I got up and I started performing. And like I am doing now, I was sweating, this little fat kid in the center of a garden, just dancing away, dancing away. And this crowd had gathered, and they started whistling, and they started clapping. And that was my first experience of being a performer. I was like, man, look at this. The more I dance, the happier they get. The louder the claps and the whistles. That was my first experience of getting the fulfillment of being a performer, of receiving an applause. And I'll never forget that day. And again, it was connected to Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, because what was that song that was playing that I was dancing on? That was the Amitabh Bachchan classic that was playing on that day. Subsequently, throughout school and college, I always participated in everything that was performance related. You know, like debates, drama, elocution. And I always wanted to be an actor. But when I was like in about 10th grade, these questions start really becoming serious. You are an outsider. You don't have any connections per se in the Hindi film industry. Will you really seriously pursue an acting career? Because it was run like a mom and pop shop, right? It was a family run business. And there was a lot of nepotism in the industry. And at age 15, around the year 2000, I was like, man, I'm never going to get a chance to be a Bollywood actor. So let me try something that seems to be within my reach. So I said, okay, I'll become a creative writer. So I went to America to study creative writing, and I had given up on my dream of becoming an actor. And strangely, one particular semester, I was late to register for classes. And there was one seat left in one class, and that was acting one for non-majors. So I landed up there on the first day of the class, By chance, I'm taking this class, and there's somebody from South Korea, business major, telecommunications major from, Alabama. And I'm sitting with all these foreign kids. And every time we took a class in America, the instructor would be like, tell me your name and where you're from. But this guy said, I don't want to know your name. I don't want to know where you're from. I want you all to just go up, not say anything, and just perform. So somebody recited poetry, somebody sang. What do you think I did? No, man. Again, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan had a significant turning point in my life. Uff. तुम्हारे उसूल, तुम्हारे आदर्श, किस काम के तुम्हारे उसूल? तुम्हारे सारे उसूलों को गोंद कर एक वक्त की रोटी नहीं बनाई जा सकती रवि। जिन आदर्शों के लिए तुम अपनी जिंदगी पर खेलने के लिए तैयार हो, क्या किया उन आदर्शों ने? एक 400-500 रुपए की पुलिस की नौकरी, एक किराए का क्वार्टर, ड्यूटी की जीप, 2 जोड़ी खाकी वर्दी। देखो, ये वही मैं हूं, ये वही तुम हो। हम दोनों एक साथ ऐसी फुटपाथ से उठे थे, लेकिन आज तुम कहां रह गए और मैं कहां गया? आज मेरे पास बिल्डिंग है, बैंक बैलेंस है, बंगला है, गाड़ी है। तुम्हारे पास क्या है? All of you have grown up on Bollywood. Wow. So all these kids had no idea, didn't understand Hindi. They had no idea what I was saying. But they were like, slow clap, tap, 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 thank you, tap, tap, tap. And that day, I went back and I sat in my chair and I was like, man, screw it. Screw all this creating, writing shit. What I really want to do is become an actor. So why don't I take my chances while time is still on my side? I went back home, I called my dad in India. I was like, Dad, I really want to become a Bollywood hero. That's really what I want to do. He said, okay, finish your graduation and then you can do whatever you want. Fortunately, he was very supportive. He knew that the only way I would do something good was if I loved what I did. So he allowed me to do it. But he said, you must finish your graduation first. And that day was a huge turning point in my life because at age 19, I decided I would graduate and then I would go back to India and try my hand at becoming a Bollywood hero. This Bachchan craze is the same for Vikramaditya Motwani. He directed me in Lutera. And yeah, so this is Vikram and I quote, Bachchan was my ultimate hero more than anyone else in my world at the time. I howled like crazy when he died in Sholay. I watched Sharabi and Coolie multiple times in the theatre. I was crazy about him. When Vikram was in school, in fancy dress competitions, he would dress like Jay from Sholay. You know, and he was like, when Agnipath came out, it had such a huge effect on all the boys in his school that they used to all talk to each other like Vijay Dinanath Chauhan from Agnipath. So I was like, Vikram, what do you think these guys are saying? What were you saying to each other? Hey, aaj tere टिफिन में क्या है? नहीं, शार्पनर है क्या तेरे पास? Sharpener. So as you can see, it wasn't me, Vikram, who's 10 years older to me, but Mr. Bachchan touches everyone's lives. When I was being directed by Shad Ali in Kill Dil, and I'd be having this tough time on the set. You know, he'd come, he put his arm around me, and he would be like, bro, just think about it. In this situation, what would Bachchan do? And then he'd tell me to get up on my feet and just Bachchan it. Just Bachchan it. In the coming years, I believe Bollywood will be defined as BB and AB, before Bachchan and after Bachchan. It's true. It's true. The 70s, that was the height of the Bachchan era. But by the time the 80s came around, there was a huge dependency on Amitabh Bachchan. So much so that the films around the Amitabh Bachchan films were failing because the content was suffering, the technical finesse was suffering, and the movies were not that great. Simultaneously, there was this tilt to go to the south. So cue the South Indian remake. Now, instead of hill stations, people were dancing on ghadas and pots and pans and every other kitchen utensil that you can think of. And that's where group synergy dancing came around. You know, where these like 100 or 200 dancers would come and dance around the lovers for no rhyme or reason in a private location. This is where it started. So remember this? Do you remember those Rangoli bombs exploding for no rhyme or reason? Naino mein sapna, sapno mein sajna. Just please fix your eyes on this slide here. Just look at that picture. Please take a close look at Mr. Jintender's expression. So these guys from the south are making these movies. Tofa, Mawali, Maqsad, Justice Chaudhary, Himmatwala, hashtag Jitender, hashtag Sridevi, hashtag Jayaprada. Huh? What a great phase. I loved it. I was watching it. Compared to past decades, though, the content and technical finesse in the movies was relatively poor. But amongst all of this, in 1987, one of the most significant films of my childhood released. That's right. Arjun Kapoor, my buddy and pal, would come back from school every day and not eat his food till they played the VHS of Mr. India. I remember at the dining table, me, my sister, and my cousin brother, we used to sit and we used to bang the spoons on the plates. Until the food came, we'd be screaming, "Calendar, khana lao, calendar, khana lao." Our house help, his name was not Calendar, but we called him Calendar. And my nani, she used to threaten me. Ranveer Singh, तुम मस्ती करेगा तो डागा और तेजा तुमको मुगैम्बो के पास लेके जाएगा. Do you remember Daga and Teja? Mr. Mugambo, सरकारी अनाज को गोदामों को जला देने के बाद मुल्क में जहां जहां अनाज की कमी पैदा हुई थी वहां वहां काले बाजार की कीमतों पर मिलावट का अनाज फैला दिया गया है. And then Teja, Mr. Mugambo, इस मुल्क में हमारे 1 लाख से भी ज्यादा शराब खाने और जुए खाने खुल चुके हैं. Mugambo? Exactly! Wow! So, the late great Amrish Puri was an integral part of my growing up years, an irreplaceable talent of the Hindi film industry who is sorely missed. You have to check this slide out. That's Amrish Puri as Mola Ram in Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, and that is me in 2007 in Indiana University at a fancy dress party dressed as Amrish Puri in Mola Ram. Do you remember Mola Ram? You remember when he rips that heart out? Iski jaan meri muthi mein hai. And Harrison Ford is like, you got nowhere to go, Mola Ram. My God, cult stuff. Despite the decline in the quality of films in the 80s, 88 brought a spark, a glimmer of hope. A small film that became hugely popular. You remember this film? You all remember the song?
दोस्तों, आज कॉलेज का आखिरी दिन है.
आज कॉलेज का आखिरी दिन.
और आने वाली जिंदगी के लिए सभी ने कुछ न कुछ सोच रखा है. लेकिन मैंने अपने लिए कुछ नहीं सोचा है. No, really, I mean it. और आज मुझे बार-बार एक ही ख्याल आ रहा है. पापा कहते हैं बड़ा नाम करेगा, बेटा हमारा ऐसा काम करेगा, मगर ये तो कोई न जाने कि मेरी मंजिल है कहाँ.
You remember. Now, this film, Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, it was a typical formula film, but it introduced a new syntax. For the first time, there was an ad campaign for a film. The hero in Ray-Bans, black shirt, black jeans, standing, and it said, "Who is Amir Khan? Ask the girls next door." Debutant actor Amir Khan actually stuck posters of the film on the walls with his own hands. It was a small film that grew on its own merit. And Juhi Chawla, a fresh and amazing new leading lady. You know, this is the kind of girl you wanted to take home to mommy. And the chocolate boy heartthrob leading man wooed the nation. He would go on to become a game changer of Hindi cinema, one of the most pivotal figures of the industry in years to come. But more on that later. Following year, 1989 was a very good year for Hindi films as far as I was concerned. 89 gave Hindi cinema a hugely successful commercial director in the form of Suraj Barjatya. You remember this movie, no? Of course. You see that? You see that hat that Bhagyashree is wearing, the black cap with friend on it? I had one of those. I literally did. I bought it on Linking Road. You can get anything on Linking Road. I bought that on Linking Road, I remember, and I used to wear it so proudly. So this movie, okay, also marked the debut of Salman Khan. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, who would go on to be one of the biggest stars ever of Hindi cinema, but more on that later. I had this cap, and I remember the music of the film. The music of this film was just absolute, like cult stuff. Do you remember some of the songs? Do you remember? Yeah, in S.P. Balasubramaniam's voice, huh? Aaja sham hone aayi, mausam ne li angadai, to kis baat ki hai ladai? Tu chal. Oh no, tu chal, main aayi. Oh really? S.P. Balasubramaniam, man, what a voice. Do you remember that other song? Mere rang mein rangne wali pari ho ya ho, pariyon ki rani ya ho meri prem kahani. Why does my face become like this when I sing like S.P. It just feels like this is how I'd be singing it. Mere sawalon ka jawab do. And, ladies and gentlemen, my personal favorite. Wait for it.
कबूतर जा 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 कबूतर जा 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 कबूतर जा 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 कबूतर जा 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 पहले प्यार की पहली चिट्ठी पहले प्यार की पहली चिट्ठी साजन को दे.
Now, they may not have been sending each other SMSs through Vodafone, but they were sending chittis through kabutars. Just as effective. Along came another fabulous year. Chandani displayed a high level of class in cinema. Parinda ushered a new syntax in the action genre. This was the phase when I got really hooked onto Hindi films. You know, 89, 90, 91, 92, I was watching a lot of movies and I was hooked. And you know, the engagement with Hindi films was much less. You know, it was like that filmy magazine in the doctor's office. You know, you didn't have this kind of media, so it was very traditional. There'd only be, I mean, a lot of you will remember Binaka Geetmala, which was Sebaka Geetmala. And do you remember Philip's Top 10 later? Philip's Top 10, ta-da-da-da. So it was a lot less, and what that led to was your stars were like stars, you know, they were unattainable, they were out of your reach, they were not in your face on Instagram all the time, you know, the definition was different. So, do you remember Chitrahar and Chayageet? That was it, you were allowed to stay up late just to watch that half an hour, and that's all we had. Just imagine, look where we are today. It's coming out of my ears. Philip's Top 10, ta-da-da-da, ta-da-da. Prompter Saab, what's next? Correct. So, these movies, right? Tridev, Vishwatma, Tehelka, Ajuba, Kishan Kanhaiya, Saudagar, I love these films. And all these films had one thing in common. What is that one thing in common? Amrish Puri! Do you remember Amrish Puri in Tehelka? You remember Amrish Puri in Tehelka? Yeah, baby. आपके लिए special prize, sir. You're a real cinephile. Down कभी wrong नहीं होता. Shom 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 shamo shasha shasha. Cult movies, and this song from Tridev, it brought the nation down. Do you remember Oye Oye? Oye Oye became like this new thing for roadside Romeos to tease girls. They weren't whistling at them anymore. They would say Oye Oye, and rickshaws and taxis, they were all blasting it out of their little shrill speakers. And I remember as a kid, all the kids in the building, we used to parody the song. Oye Oye, kutta roye, billi soye, aur tu meri chaddi dhoye. Hey, cut me some slack, okay? I was 1989, I was 4 years old. Okay? And I loved it. I loved the music. You notice the African influence? Huh? Do you remember our junior artists who were painted with all that brown powder? You remember that? Amazing stuff, amazing stuff. Who remembers this cult song from Saudagar? इलू का मतलब I love you too. Damn Bollywood, damn. Who remembers this cult stuff? Vikramaditya tells me when he used to go for school trips, they used to harass the bus driver because side A, the entire thing, side B, the entire thing was just this song, and they used to harass him and make him play it. You remember this song?
सांसों की जरूरत है जैसे जिंदगी के लिए बस एक सनम चाहिए आशिकी के लिए
Absolute God. So, Ashiki. Okay. Now, most of this music was probably not the greatest songs ever, right? They aren't for the connoisseurs of music. You know, they're not the greatest songs in the world from a critical point of view. But Mozart would probably be turning in his grave at some of these songs. But these are the songs which take me back to a time where it was just happiness, just pure happiness, joy. There was no stress. I was carefree. I didn't have a worry in the world. And it's these songs that bring back those good times. You know, they bring back the memories. They may not be the greatest songs in the world, but they're the greatest songs in the world for me because they came at a time which were, for me, perhaps the best times, you know. And there was, at that time, when I was like 4, 5, 6 years old, there was just fun and enjoyment. And there was a director of Hindi films called Subhash Ghai. Huge cultural impact. Subhash Ghai, the director of such films as Karma, Ram Lakhan, Khalnayak, the creator of mass entertainment blockbusters. YRF director Anurag Singh says, and I quote, "I became a director because of Subhash Ghai." My mentor, Aditya Chopra himself, one of the most influential producer-directors of Hindi cinema, is a self-confessed Subhash Ghai maniac. Subhash Ghai's films pivoted on classic Indian emotions of nation and family, Ma and Bhaiya, Beta, Vatan. And his films had scale and pumping background music and the Subhash Ghai trolley shot and monstrous queues outside the box office. And above all, the music in his films was just pure gold. Even today, when my boys and I get together for a drink, what song do you think we play?
तो मुंह से लगा के बोतल पीने दे दारू दे दारू दे दारू ओ मेरे भैया दे दारू दे दारू दे दारू मुंह से लगा के बोतल पीने दे दारू बड़े दिनों के बाद मिली है ये दारू दे दारू दे दारू
ओ मेरे भैया दे दारू. You remember this song or no? अरे किट्टम किट्टू जी की जय. Classic. It's an anthem. Yes, sir. We'll drink later to this. And we'll rage. Oh, thank you, sir. Who remembers this song? It brought the nation down. I think this was one of the predecessors of a song like, I don't know, Sheila Ki Jawani and Baby Doll. But what do you think came first? you just love it? And Ela Arun makes that sound. Don't you just absolutely love it? And of course, who can forget the song that may as well be my theme song in life? Which brings me to one of my favorite actors of all time, a living legend who I idolized through my formative years, recently had the surreal privilege of sharing screen space with. Ladies and gentlemen, the Anil Kapoor. Close pal of mine, Arjun, his nephew, he tells me the story of how he used to sit next to him at the dinner table and eat Rajma Chawal and watch him in the movie and watch him in real life, and watch him in the movie, and watch him in real life. Now he's his uncle, he's family to him, but he was such a huge star and his on-screen persona was so strong that Arjun was absolutely infatuated by him. You know, his partnership with Jackie Shroff, stuff of cult. That's the kind of stuff guys like Arjun and I grew up to. And that's why, you know, Gunde happened. And I guess Jackie and Anil are kind of like Arjun and me. Just a little more legendary. I remember Anil Kapoor was the chief guest at the opening of my father's two-wheeler showroom in 1995. He was the chief guest. And I remember the entire neighborhood descending on the compound to catch a glimpse of Anil Kapoor. And that was my first experience of witnessing a popular actor getting mobbed by a crowd of people. And you know, back there were no camera phones. So it was about signing autographs. And it was about touching. So I touched his hair. I touched his shoulder. I touched his bum. And nowadays it's camera phones, right? It's the scourge of selfies, sir. One click. Selfie. Selfie. That's all I do all day. It's selfie, 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 selfie. It's selfies. And the new scourge of this kind of interaction. And it is about the selfie, but I don't know why they still like to touch my bum. Moving on, check out the slide. Now, this is me. This is during my struggling period, the 3.5 years that I struggled, and I was trying to find a job. This is during that period, and I'm dressed like Arun in Mr. India. Why, you ask? For no rhyme or reason. I just wanted to put myself on camera doing a scene from Mr. India. That's the only reason. It was pretty nice. So, moving on to one of my other screen idols, ladies and gentlemen, the Govinda, again, who I had the honor of sharing screen space with very, very recently. He was the hero number one. You know, him and David Dhawan, he was David Dhawan's blue-eyed boy of the 90s. He was the face of Paisa Vasool cinema. You know, his films with David Dhawan, they came with a guarantee that aaj maza aega boss. Targeted at the masses. The films were fun, they were bright, they were colorful, happy comedies. You have to leave your brain at home, just come, watch songs, have a blast. He was the comedic actor for a decade until Hera Pheri came along. Even a cult film like Andaza Apna Apna didn't do well at the time at the box office, while David and Chichi were churning out hit after hit. Fun fact, Raja Babu, I must have seen Raja Babu, I don't know, over 80 to 90 times, literally. Around this period, I learned the concept of sexiness from films. That was the first time I had heard this word and learned about this concept of sexy. Do you remember that song from Khuddar with Karishma Kapoor in it? Huh? No, you can't say it. You can't say it because they didn't let them say it at the time, so how can you say it now? They didn't let them say it, right? Do you remember that song? You remember how it started? Hi, sexy. Hello, sexy. Listen, sexy, what are you doing tonight? Oh, shut up. Hey, come on, let's have dinner, okay? With you? F-O. What? I mean F? Oh, no. Neeli, neeli, aankhein meri, main kya karun? Gore, gore, gaal mere, main kya karun? होठ मेरे लाल लाल मैं क्या करूं, काले काले बाल मेरे मैं क्या करूं, चेहरा में ले जाऊं कहां, हुस्न को छुपाऊं कहां, रोमियो हजार आगे पीछे दौड़े. You got exactly. Sexy, sexy, sexy was banned. You cannot say sexy. You have to say baby. Baby is okay. Sexy is not okay. Ban. Inki band ki. Control, just control. Now, Sanjay Dutt, he had been one of my favorites since Khalnayak, but when I saw him in Vastav, that's when I went mad. You know what Vijay Dinanath Chauhan was for Vikram? Raghunath Namdev Shivalkar was for me. Vastav was a cult film for us, impressionable young boys, 13, 14 years old in school. And we would just be quoting him all day. Just quoting him all day in school. Arey, मुंबई पे राज करता हूं मैं मुंबई पे, अरे अपने जिगर पे बनाऊं मैं, किसी मिनिस्टर ने नहीं बनाया मेरे को, तेरे पुलिस स्टेशन जाता हो ना तो सलाम ठोकते तेरे साहब लोग खड़े हो के, अरे गलत फहमी है तेरे को, गलत फहमी. वास्तव, ladies and gentlemen, cult film. I was such a Bollywood कीड़ा that I thought Scarface was a copy of Vastav, not the other way around. Like, ये तो अपने वास्तव का कॉपी है, छोड़ना. Amazing. 50 तोले का है, 50 तोले का. What a great film. Cut to a milestone in Hindi cinema. 1994 brought Hum Aapke Hain Kaun. The families had come back to cinema halls. See, those days, the original cassette was released with the original film, so nobody went to cinemas. When the VHS took over, footfalls were at an all-time low. The families had gone out of cinemas when the VHS was around, but Hum Aapke Hain Kaun did not release the cassette along with the film. So there wasn't a single pirated print of Hum Aapke Hain Kaun available. 15 years later, families came out to watch this film in hordes, in multitudes. It was like a picnic. Dada, dadi, nana, nani, chacha, chachi, bhaiya, didi, kaka, kaki. Everybody went to the halls to watch this film. 80-year-olds were coming out in wheelchairs to go to watch this film. This movie boosted the economy of Hindi films, increased footfalls, and opened up a wider audience for films that anybody had ever imagined, more than anybody had ever imagined. And family films, love stories, they became the norm. Of course, you must be remembering this song from this film. Hey, well, before the song, do you remember Tuffy? Tuffy. How many people named their dogs Tuffy after this film? It's like people started naming their kids Aryan after a point. It's just, that's the cult effect of Bollywood. You remember this song?
दीदी तेरा देवर दीवाना, ओ दीदी तेरा देवर दीवाना, हाय राम कुड़ियों को डाले दाना, हाय राम कुड़ियों को डाले दाना.
And S.P. Balasubramaniam, ladies and gentlemen, again. Haye Ram, kudiyon ka hai zamana. And then, okay, before we move on to this, my next film, Dil Dhadakne Do, by the way, is a family drama comedy. And my Anil Kapoor, who plays my father in the film, he just says to me in the gym one day, it's going to be Hum Aapke Hain Kaun on steroids. Cult. Landmark. क्या लग रहा हूं मैं? Shagas. And ladies and gentlemen, 1995, Rangila. Do you remember Rangila? Ram Gopal Verma's Rangila. That was my earliest memory of crying in the theaters. I was crying so hard by the end of that movie that my dad was so embarrassed he had to hold my arm and take me out of the cinema hall. While I'm bawling, I'm like, man, Papa, why she didn't go to Munna? Why? Munna. The only time I cried that hard in a cinema hall again was Free Willy 2. Willy! I used to bawl. Okay, Rangila also, it changed the way the heroines used to look in Hindi films. Urmila Matondkar, you know, yeah, uncle, I know. I too was crazy about Urmila Matondkar. But there was a guy in my school, he was the goalkeeper in our football team. He was a year older than me, and he was crazy about Urmila Matondkar. And that was my first insight into what it means to be a die-hard fan. This guy used to sit all day and make collages of Urmila. He used to find her number and give blank calls. He used to write her name on his arm. And if you, God forbid, if you said anything against Urmila, he was 110 kilos in 8th standard. If you said anything against Urmila, he would find you. And he would sit on you. Rangila also brought A.R. Rahman. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for this guy, man. Ain't nobody like A.R. Rahman. The A.R. Rahman phenomenon started with Rangila. Okay, and after that he delivered some of the greatest albums of Hindi films, there's no doubt about it. But in 1998, movie called Dil Se, A.R. Rahman composition called Chaiya Chaiya. Do you remember Chaiya Chaiya? You remember Chaiya Chaiya? Chale Chaiya. There's a Sukhwinder Singh. Once when I was an AD, I had the privilege of watching Sukhwinder Singh record. It's amazing. You got to watch this guy in the studio. He's like a force of nature. And he sang Chaiya Chaiya. It was his breakthrough. Chale Chaiya. He has this thing that he does with his left hand. Okay? It's really amazing. Chale Chaiya 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 Chale Chaiya 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 Chaiya. You have to see Farhan Akhtar do it. It's insane. Okay? So I got caught listening to Chaiya. I was so crazy about Chaiya Chaiya. It was like a drug for me. I couldn't start my day or finish it without listening to Chaiya Chaiya. All day. The cassette players at that time, of course, cassettes. Side A, side B, Chaiya Chaiya, back to back. I'd be listening to it all day. I got suspended from school for listening to Chaiya Chaiya during class. I didn't care. Right? You can kick me out if you want, but don't touch my Walkman. You remember? Mr. Walkman, it's a Sony. You remember Walkman? Shit, man, these kids, they don't know. 1995 saw another landmark in Hindi cinema. Landmark. Possibly, arguably, the most successful film of all time.
तुझे देखा तो ये जाना सनम, प्यार होता है दीवाना सनम. तुझे देखा तो ये जाना सनम, प्यार होता है दीवाना सनम. अब यहाँ से कहाँ जाएं हम, तेरी बाहों में मर जाएं हम.
Thank you, Koel. Thank you. Classic shot. सरसों के खेत में काजल शाहरुख खान के पास भाग रही है. My God, what a cult film this was. This was the film that sparked the NRI boom. NRI boy was the protagonist. NRI girl was the protagonist. The NRIs went crazy. Arguably the most successful film of all time. P.S. मेरे mentor की picture है. It's still running in the theaters. Huh? Maratha Mandir, over 1,000 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Arguably the most successful Hindi film of all time. So proud. Now we were seeing Lamborghinis and the Swiss Alps and the Eurorail and a holiday abroad and all this with your Indian values intact. The one line that was the game changer of the film, you see, thus far in Hindi movies, the love was all about being rebellious. It was about rebelling against your parents. You know, Betab, Maine Pyar Kiya, QSQT, all about rebellious love. So here you had the hero telling the heroine, I will only run away with you when we get your parents' blessings. And that line was the game changer, the master stroke. The ethos of this line was very, very resonant in a traditional Indian society. And so what happened was parents, they blessed this film. The young lovers, they were like, well, if we can get their blessings, that would be great. This film opened up and broke through the diaspora market and made the scope of what a Hindi film watching audience is much wider. Much, much wider. When President Barack Obama comes and quotes that Senorita line, Senorita, bade bade deshon mein aise chote chote. That's when you know a film has cultural impact. Speaking of cult impact, one of the most revered directors of the 90s and 2000s was a guy I absolutely love from the bottom of my heart, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sanjay Leela Bhansali. So much passion in every frame that every film of his is an event film. The poster boy of large canvas grandeur in Hindi cinema, whose films are like cinema opera. You know, a Bhansali film offers a big screen experience unlike any other. And since Khamoshi in 1996, he's given us Hindi movies lovers gem after gem, like Devdas, Black, gems like Ram Leela. And of course, Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam, which incidentally had in it my personal teenage breakup song. You remember?
तड़प तड़प के इस दिल से आह निकलती रही, मुझको सदा दी प्यार की, ऐसा क्या गुनाह किया तो लुट गए, हाँ लुट गए, तो लुट गए हम तेरी मोहब्बत.
If you're watching me on TV right now, you broke up with me then, but how you like me now? The 90s saw the globalization of the Indian economy. Fancy brands started coming in, and people started to develop this material fixation and obsession with foreign brands. Yash Chopra's Dil To Pagal Hai was a premier aspirational film. Brands started to become really visible in films, you know. Look at this. Gap, Tommy, Speedo, DKNY. This had never happened or been seen before in Hindi films. Cut to a young filmmaker whose age was only 24, made a film that balanced Yash Chopra and Raj Kapoor. His idea was to give a film scale, but yet at the same time have youth appeal. Bang! Kuch kuch hota hai. Huh? Cult film, right? Rahul is a cheater. cheater. आपको तो पता है मुझे सिंगिंग और डांसिंग का कितना शौक है. After Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, Dil To Pagal Hai, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, Shah Rukh Khan established himself as the leading romantic icon of the nation. On screen, Shah Rukh Khan was the perfect man. People wanted their son, their brother, their father, their husband, their boyfriend to emulate this man. These characters were written for him by various filmmakers, and thus they created the Raj and Rahul phenomenon that catapulted Shah Rukh Khan into another orbit of superstardom. His off-screen persona sort of synergized with his on-screen representation. He was like the bad boy with a good heart. It's like he had this naughty boy demeanor, but he still had a very traditional core. He was bratty, but he was still rooted. He was like, हरामी है लेकिन माँ बाबू जी के पैर छूता है, कितना स्वीट है. Karan Johar credits Shah Rukh Khan's off-screen demeanor as the big reason behind his unparalleled stardom. You know, off-screen, Shah Rukh Khan spoke very candidly, with a lot of emotion and passion about his marriage, about losing his parents, about various aspects of his personal life. And he came across as very, very humble. Every time he spoke, he endeared himself to the entire nation. No other star till Shah Rukh Khan had taken a personal story and put it out the way he did. And therefore, he had this like unique connect that the audience had. And he reigned supreme. And that popularity earned him in the 90s the title of King Khan. Shah Rukh Khan presented me my first ever debut award in 2010 at the Screen Awards. And I was so overwhelmed that I cried on stage. And it was just too overwhelming, and it was one of the greatest moments of my life to be receiving my first ever award from my childhood idol. Incredible moment in my life. Thank you. I was crying pretty hard yesterday. I can't go back and see that video. I was like, hey, Mom, I love you. 2000 saw the Hrithik Roshan explosion. Do you remember that? I remember Kaho Na Pyar Hai released, and he was like this overnight sensation. His popularity boomed. It was like a nuclear bomb, like an instant explosion. Like it happened literally overnight. And I was a teenager then. I had never witnessed this kind of mania. It was the first time I saw it. Like people may have seen it during, I don't know, Rajesh Khanna era. I don't know what that was like. But for me, it was Hrithik Roshan. You know, and I remember in Juhu we were playing gully cricket. When you play gully cricket, the most important time in that 1 hour that you're playing is your batting. जब मेरी बैटिंग आती है, If you get out on the first ball, you're like, no, ये वो तो trial ball था, sorry. Batting is super important. You know, you don't want to field and you don't want to play lappu underarm. You don't want to be giving underarm. What's there in giving underarm? Right? So batting is like really precious. Your batting is really precious. I remember I had just taken, and this is a new set of boys that I'm playing with. I was a Bandra boy and I was playing with these boys in Juhu. So I was taking my position to face my first ball. And this is the weekend that Kaho Na Pyare released. And somebody, some fielder somewhere was like, Hrithik Roshan. I have left my batting ki tata. We have left the bat, the bowler left the ball. Everybody was running behind this white color Ford icon, I remember. Okay, I saw the back of his head. And I went home and be like, I saw the back of Hrithik Roshan's head. Such was the craze of Hrithik Roshan. So, I'm a genuine fan of Hrithik Roshan. So when I had a chance to give back, I did. Do you remember this?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bang, bang.
That's Linking Road, by the way. I love you, Hrithik! Gotta love Hrithik Roshan. Ladies and gentlemen, 2001 was a landmark year unlike any other year that I have seen in Hindi films. Never again has there been a year like 2001, a mammoth year and a turning of the tide for Hindi films. Lagan was a film that was dismissed by everyone in the trade. 5 leading actors had refused it. It had a dhoti-clad hero who played cricket to get a tax rebate in a village. You know, period films weren't working at the time. Sports movies never worked. But this film came and became the cult film of the nation. I remember watching it with my friends in Gaiety Galaxy in Bombay. And I kid you not, by the end of the film, when that final match happens, the whole theater had become, it was like watching a live cricket match. You know, when you remember that character that really Kachra, you remember when he comes to bowl that crucial over? So, people were on their feet cheering like they were watching India were playing live. They were like, Kachra, Kachra, tut, tut, tut. It was crazy. I had never seen anything like it. The whole theater had become like this live cricket match. I love that movie. Do you remember the villain? I used to love the way he used to speak Hindi. Do you remember? Hum tumko dugna lagan maaf karega. You remember? Dugna lagan, Rajaji, dugna lagan. Why don't you have some mutton, Rajaji? And Kulbhushan Kharbanda gets really offended. I am a vegetarian. Bhajiyan uda do in English. Gotta love Kulbhushan. Remember him in Jo Jeeta? How he and Saeed Jaffrey used to get really hyper. You remember that cycle race? Boko Ratan! Boko! And Saeed Jaffrey in Dil, do you remember him? Panna, tum mein se Bagavat ki boo aa rahi hai. Gotta love these guys, man. Speaking of dhaja udawing of people, then came Gadar, and it broke all the box office records. Gadar Ek Prem Katha sold more tickets than any other film in Indian history. I remember I used to be in college at the time, 16 years old. I used to be in HR college, and I used to take Western Railways home, and I used to go with my best friend. And I used to hang outside the train, which all you youngsters watching me on television never do. You should never ever do. I used to hang out on the train and sing the songs of Gadar. I used to be like, Ud ja kale kawa tere moh vich khand pawa. And my long hair at the time in the wind. मैं निकला ओ गड्डी लेके और रस्ते पर वो सड़क में एक मोड़ आया मैं उठे दिल छोड़. And that guy's like, dude, you're embarrassing me, man. Dude, please stop. There was such good memories attached to these films. Do you remember that scene when he pulls out the pump and he beats the shit out of everybody over there? What a scene. Epic film. And Amrish Puri is imploring him. Kaho, Pakistan Zindabad. So Sunny Deol is like, Pakistan Zindabad. And he's like, ab bolo, Hindustan Murdabad. And Sunny Deol gets really pissed off at this. Huh? Aapka Pakistan Zindabad hai, to hamara Hindustan Murdabad kyun? And he's standing there and he's like, Hindustan Zindabad! And his kid is like, yeah, Hindustan Zindabad! And all Pakistanis get really mad and they attack Sunny Deol. But Sunny Deol pulls the pump out of the ground. Ain't nobody like Sunny Deol. Sunny Puttar. Papa. When I was in Kishore Namit Kapoor, we used to every struggling acting student in Bombay has had to do the Tariq pe Tariq monologue. Do you remember from Damini? To sirf milti hai Tariq. Tariq pe Tariq, Tariq pe Tariq. Gotta love it. Dil Chahta Hai came next, directed by 25-year-old debutant director Farhan Akhtar. And it gave the definition to the Indian youth of what it means to be cool. People had never seen anything like this before. There was like this casual way of speaking. You know, this conversational dialogue. They spoke with ease. They spoke with irreverence. And people had not seen it before in Hindi films. It was like a complete breath of fresh air. And it went on to change the landscape of Hindi films. I remember going crazy over Dil Chahta Hai at the time. Do you remember Saif Ali Khan in the film? Samajhne ki koshish karo yaar. I love her. Chandni Ba came out in the same year, hard-hitting, superb film with a female protagonist. Quality alternate cinema was also coming in the same year. It was not over. At the end of the year, we had Ye Hai Tere Karam, Kabhi Khushi, Kabhi Gam, Na Juda Honge Hum, Kabhi Khushi, Kabhi Gam. So, Bollywood staple diet also there in this landmark year. So it was panned by the critics, of course, K3G was, but it was hugely successful. Old wine in a new bottle, but people went crazy. The overseas went crazy. And it went on to prove that if you make a film and you put a tagline to it that says, it's all about loving your parents, you will never fail in a country like India. This film till date is the guilty pleasure of a lot of people, significantly a certain Arjun Kapoor. Like, you won't admit it, but you love it. What is your guilty pleasure? Anybody? My guilty pleasure, Backstreet Boys. Love Backstreet Boys. So 2001 was a buffet of entertainment. Hard-hitting alternate film Chandni Ba, new age film Dil Chahta Hai, period film like Lagan, Bollywood staple diet in K3G, and a full-blown masala film like Gadar. And that's what Hindi films should aspire to do every year. But it's never really happened again. You know, the coming of the multiplex era, 2003, 2004, 2005, it kind of changed content for Hindi films, but you still need the single screen in spite of the multiplex for that large cumulative number. Now, throughout the 2000s, which was, I think, a really, really great year for films, a lot of films affected my life. I remember watching Swades in 2004 in America, and I watched the film. It had a huge effect on me. And I was watching this film and thinking to myself, you know, I plan to get a job in America or whatever, but if I put all my talent and energy into furthering the interests of another nation, that would be a great disservice that I'd be doing to my own country. So me and my roommate, who was also a Bombay boy, we decided that whatever it was that we were going to do in life, we'd go back to India and do it. And that was when we watched Swades. Sitting on that couch in sophomore year, I remember watching Rang De Basanti on VCD at home, and I remember crying. And Arjun remember seeing it in the theater on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 3 consecutive days he went to see it, and he witnessed something that he had never seen before. People were crying, they were standing and clapping a standing ovation for a film he had never seen it. I remember feeling patriotic in a way that I had never felt before. I was in my 20s already, and I had never felt such passion for my own country. And it came from Rakesh Om Prakash Mehra's Rang De Basanti. I watched Tare Zameen Par with my dad. He was sitting next to me, watching it with me. And after watching Tare Zameen Par, his attitude changed towards me. Literally, he started understanding me better. Hey, what? You finding it funny? Like, what? I'm not Darshil Safari. I'm not Darshil Safari. Okay. So my dad, he started understanding that it's okay for me to have these creative inclinations and not be interested in anything that's business related or money related. And then Three Idiots, it had a huge effect on me. It was a shared experience. I watched it with 2 of my guy friends, and I'll never forget that experience. It created a bond between the 3 of us. I was laughing through my tears. I was crying, I was laughing at the same time. It reiterated the power of cinema for me, and the film had a message, that I learned, and I always paid forward. Now, when youngsters ask me for advice, I always tell them what I saw in this movie. I always knew it, but this film validated it, that you got to chase excellence and success will follow. Do what you love what you do. These are things that I learned from Three Idiots. Raju Hirani, one of the premier directors of contemporary times. Every film of his has a message, and it connects to a person in Bihar, in Bombay, in Boston, across demographics. And that's why his films are so huge. Now, the common factor in most of these films was one man, whose 50th birthday it is today, ladies and gentlemen. Game changer of content in Hindi films. The poster boy for blurring the lines between alternate and commercial films. He bravely blended these 2 worlds. All his choices, Talash, Lagan, Dil Chahta Hai, Rang De Basanti, Tare Zameen Par, they were all integrative. And Three Idiots, of course, they were integrative. They mixed the best of both worlds. There used to be a clear difference between parallel cinema and mainstream cinema. One major motion picture movie star came out and made commercial successes of the kind of content you could have never imagined would be commercially palatable or viable. He's a revolution on his own. He single-handedly changed the game. And even though he didn't like the AIP roast, I still love him and respect him from the bottom of my heart. I remember in Lonavala, when I was a kid, my entire family was in Lonavala. I was sitting on a seesaw, I fell off and I split my head open and I was bleeding and crying. And they took me to the doctor and I was all at 6s and 7s. And the doctor had to put a bandage around my forehead like that. And I was crying, bawling, and my mom was like, "You're looking like Amir Khan in Dil." And suddenly I was like, wow, I'm looking like Amir Khan in Dil? Alright. I go to school the next day, I'm like, check out my Amir Khan swag. Huh? Nowadays, I'm like, check out my Shah Rukh Khan swag. The Khans, they're still around at 50. They're still ruling the roost. When most film stars of that age have had to combat age, they've had to move from being mainstream actors to being character actors, these men are still in their prime. The popularity of these 3 key players of the Hindi film industry is so huge that they've completely negated what they call the transition phase. Master players of the game, and have over the years acquired a position as the very center of the Bollywood ecosystem. 2010, a very, very special year. Huh? Somebody made his debut. No, really though, it was a really, really significant year for films. 2001 has never been, repeated again. But smaller content-driven films like this 2010, it incorporated again all kinds of films. It was like a mini 2001. Smaller content-driven films like Love, Sex or Dhoka, Udaan, that was Vikramaditya's debut. Ishqiya, Band Baja Bara, Do Duni Char, Peepli Life, Tere Bin Laden. Then you had your mass films like Dabang, Once Upon a Time in Mumbai, Houseful, Robot, Golmaal. You had rom-coms like I Hate Love Stories, and even Guzarish, My Name is Khan, Rajniti. What a great, great year for film. And one hopes that every year the content in our films gets better and better, and that the industry can grow from strength to strength. But 2010 to now is what I perceive as the Salman Khan era. For years, he did the love and family genre, but he didn't see the kind of popularity that he sees today. The masses have always loved him. Mass entertainers have always been his core conviction. You know, the single-screen Siti Tali films, when Garv came out and it opened to packed houses, but he didn't continue in that vein until 2009. He stumbled upon something when he did Wanted in 2009. And after Wanted, it was like, okay, this is the Salman Khan space. And there was no looking back. The year after that, Dabang came out, and Salman Khan had found his space. And his stardom grew bigger than ever before. And once he started doing the kind of films that resonated with him, there was no stopping him. Today, Salman does anything and his fans love it. Anything. He flexes his biceps, they love it. He puts his hand in his pocket and moves it from side to side, they love it. He fiddles a little bit with his wealth, they go crazy. Salman craze is happening now. I've been a fan for almost 3 decades, man. Growing up on Bollywood means growing up on Salman Khan. You gotta love the guy, you know. Now, serious stuff, okay? Today, I've had a chat with all these, like, I've had a chat with Karan Johar, Aditya Chopra, Vikramaditya Motwani, all these guys, and I've been asking them what they think about what's going on in the industry. And what they say is that, like, now it's the age of corporatization, right? All these big studios from the West, they're coming here. We're the only country that has Hollywood begging to be a part of our infrastructure. And it's not the other way around. They've changed their model. They've changed their way of working. They've changed their ethos to accommodate our way of doing things. We are the most self-sufficient filmmaking nation in the world. We've never fed off their wealth. You know, they need us. We don't need them. So our cinema is evolving as we speak. It is coming of age, but there are problems. I think this too. The biggest problem right now is that we are low on writers. We don't empower them. They aren't motivated enough to write because they aren't paid enough money. They get paid pittance. Everybody wants to be a director or a movie star because that's where the money is, that's where the fame is. But it's a very, very unfortunate travesty of the times that we don't pay writers. We don't empower them. They aren't writing good enough stuff because they have no motivation. That's why we are on a downslide. The best films, you know, like 8 out of 10 films, the writing credit is also attached to the director. Rarely there's a film where the credit is just the writer. Because of a lack of good writers, this is what's happening. Look at this slide. This was the Salman Khan slide. Look at this slide. There's just remake, Himmatwala remake, Dawn remake, Ashiki remake. Every week, every 2 weeks, I get a call. Aap Namak Halal ka remake kar lo. Aap Amar Akbar Anthony ka remake kar lo. Because we aren't empowering our writers. There isn't enough original content coming out. We are in the middle of a crisis. Unfortunately, budgets are too high, they're spiraling out of control, footfalls are lowering, multiplex rates are too high, the content is not so great, people aren't coming to watch the film unless they think it's like this massive event film. From 2012 to 2015, footfalls are reducing year after year considerably. And these are warning signs. We have to pull our socks up with our content. We have to reduce our budgets. We can't be deluded about remunerations. And especially actor remunerations, they have to be checked. I mean, if you know the kind of figures that some of these guys are being paid, it's redonkulous. You know, there is a mid-level model that's just not working anymore. There are mid-level actors sitting at home with no work. And there is reason to be skeptical about the state of the industry. The content is improving. There are braver producers, braver directors, better technicians, better quality of films, but the audience is not going on a regular basis. And unless they think it's an event film, they just don't go. If your basic Hindi movie is not being able to cross 30-35 crores at the box office week after week, then there's a problem. The audience is not going to watch movies the way they should or the way that they used to. Theatre chains, they aren't enticing the audience. The experience has to be pleasurable. It's become less pleasurable now. You pay a lot of money for the tickets, then you park, go to a mall, then you pay so much money for popcorn. You have to sit through 20 minutes of ads. You have to sit through a 20-minute interval. The experience has to become more pleasurable, I feel. I'm worried that this is keeping people away from the movies. And piracy is a huge, huge problem still. Piracy about 2 years ago was the realm only of like tech-savvy people. But now, if you go, you see your house staff, your driver, your rickshawala's taxi taxi drivers, these guys are also now watching content, they're watching movies on their phones, and that's dangerous. That means piracy has arrived. So content has to be better, writers have to be empowered, the movie-going experience has to be made better, smaller films. It's very dangerous time for right now for smaller films. Smaller films are finding it very, very difficult to go out and compete because the cost of marketing, the cost of distribution of a film is very, very high. On an average, you know, if you, for the cost of distribution is 20,000 a pop. If you do 1,000 prints, that's 2 crores. So if you make a film for, let's say, 3 crores, okay, you need another 6 crores for P&A. That's 9 crores, means you have to make 22 crores at the box office just to break even. You know, how is the small film going to compete and make those box office numbers? It's a dangerous precedent. We need to find new marketing strategies, lower the cost of distribution for smaller films especially. Otherwise, they won't be able to compete. Content is getting better. The distribution model needs to be looked at. The commercial industry is still doing all right. Guys like Raju Hirani, Dibakar Banerjee, Zoya Akhtar, Anurag Kashyap, these are directors who would be considered edgier in the past. They're now working with stars, and they are, as we speak, defining the new commercial form of making movies, which is slowly and hopefully over the next 2 years is going to change the industry. Huh. Well, no. आगे मैं स्टडी करके आया था. नहीं है आपके पास? चलो दिल से बोल देता हूँ. All right, so I can't be thankful enough to be where I am today. I thank God every day that He's allowed me to be a part of something that I feel so much passion for, that I believe in so much, Bollywood films. I'm actually a mainstream actor today. There is nothing greater than that. And I thank every day for the audience that allows me to do what I love to do, which is just entertain. And I pledge my entire life to entertainment. I hope that through excellence in my work, I can make the audience proud. I can make us proud of our beloved Bollywood and proud to be Indian. And I hereby pledge my entire life to being an entertainer to the best of my ability. It's an incredible story, really. A guy who grew up on Bollywood, who wanted nothing more in his life to be a Bollywood hero. And it's beyond my wildest imaginations. When I was a complete outsider and I had, like I told you, my chances were 1,000,000 to 1. So for me, being here, working with these directors, it's a huge deal, and I value these opportunities. And I'm going to work my hardest to be a significant contributor to our beloved Bollywood. I found a video, play it back. I found a video of a kid who used to remind me of what I used to be as a kid. You have to check this guy out. This guy also is growing up on Bollywood the way I grew up on Bollywood. You have to check this kid out. He reminds me of what I used to be as a kid. He's fat, he can dance, and he has a badass attitude. You have to check this guy out.
और सब में लड़की के पीछे भागेगा, लड़की पैसा लेके भागेगी, पैसे के पीछे भागेगा, लड़की तेरे पीछे भागेगी.
माल सकते हो पांडे.
भी होगा वहाँ भी होगा. यहाँ भी होगा वहाँ भी होगा, तो सारे जहाँ में होगा. तेरा ही जलवा, तेरा ही जलवा.
fat kid like that grew up to be this bearded, sexy boy that you see on the screen right now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you for having me here. I love you all. And you especially.
Please stay there.
Thank you, thank you. Play me some music, man. Go and leave me with a song. One for the road, baby.
We need a Kill Bill song.
No. That was a fucking block movie.
May I please request Dev Bhattacharya, Group Executive, President Aditya.
Before that, may I request you to do the tatar step? See, I don't have any hair left, so you'll have to do it for me. Play it!
We can do that with one hand, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a big round of applause as I call upon stage Dev Bhattacharya, Group Executive President, Aditya Birla Group. We present to him a small token of our appreciation, which we will give to him. Thank you, Ranveer Singh. Ladies and gentlemen, he did it all with just one hand. What can you do with both?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.